Good evening, everybody. How's it going? It's me, Comic Crack, and I spoke about Copy This Cassette zine on the Sunday night stream there, and I heard from Blake in an email and in comments talking about maybe wanting to see some tapes, and in kind of honor of Blake and his time in the community, both the mainly the VC, but also with comic community, with this Copy This mini zine, which again I neglected to pull out before hitting the live button. I thought we'd look at some tapes and maybe talk about a couple of things. La Raza, whoa, good morning. I wanted to kind of jump onto that in talking a little bit, not very much. So I subscribe to a number of Patreons, and one of them is Four Color Apocalypse. Shout out to Ryan Carey, who is in control of that beast. I guess there's been some internet drama. Goes to show how much I knew about it. I only found out about it today, catching up on doing some reading and things like that. So I guess Alex Graham, the cartoonist, had a saucy strip over on Instagram, kind of berating very I don't know, basic art, I guess, maybe for lack of a better term. I didn't know much about it. I just caught up through the thread, through his posts rather, and then there was messages attached, so I read through those and I went and checked out Instagram. So one of the response by Anya Davidson, I believe is the artist name, Anya for sure, but I'm blanking on the last name, had a post. I didn't know at the time when I reposted it on Twitter that it was in response to the Alex Graham post. I had no idea about it. And I just thought it was an interesting look at why kind of some of this more mainstream stuff is popular and why boundaries don't get pushed as much potentially. It's a huge conversation. I think Alex caught a bunch of flack for maybe simplifying the issue a little bit. I'll just say up front, I didn't find anything offensive or anything within Alex's post or cartoon strip or whatever. I just didn't. I agreed with it at its very basic premise, because I do tend to agree with that kind of stuff. If you've been around here long enough, you know that I think we should be digging. I think we should be pushing boundaries when it comes to any sort of artistic expression, whether that's comics, whether it's music, whether it's movies. I can appreciate the mainstream stuff, but I find that the stuff that gets me more interested is the stuff on the fringes and is potentially people that are pushing buttons maybe a little bit. Whether they intend to or not is irrelevant. Well, maybe not irrelevant, but maybe not as important to me some of the time. Completely lost my train of thought there. So I didn't think there was anything too offensive in it. I can see why people are offended at it, I guess. And then I think the Anya one, though, really worded what my thoughts are much more concisely and much more wholly. And I think the other thing that it pointed out was he does bring up the Ed Piskor incident and about kind of the pile-on that happens in the comics community, I'd say in a bunch of different places. Oh, look at this, Ryan. Hello. Saw the notification, had to stop in. I think that I won't go too long on this. I do want to talk about other stuff, but I did want to touch on, because I do feel like it leads into what we're going to talk about for a little bit here, depending on how much energy I have. Stop looking at the chat and concentrate on your words. I think that when it comes to why some more acceptable, basic type of art, again, talking all sorts of art, music, movies, comics, there are certain things that people are happy with and they're content with, and they use it as a form of escape. And I think that that's a big part of it. I think the commerce side is a big part of it as well too. I don't go to mainstream sources to engage with art that's going to be pushing boundaries or making me think about things. I came to the realization a long fucking time ago that mainstream art is pablum for a society that just wants to escape. Does it bother me at times? Fuck yeah, it bothers me. But can I do much about it? I can't. I realize that people are going to like what they're going to like for different reasons, and all of them are valid for those people. Do I wish that some of the more transgressive stuff would have more of an audience? Absolutely, I do. I get excited when I see something like Andor being a little bit transgressive on a big platform like Disney and a big corporation like Star Wars, and presenting ideas of Marxism and presenting ideas of revolution, presenting ideas of looking into our own history. I fucking love it when that stuff happens. But I know that for the most part, awards of any kind, even though I work in the film industry, film and television industry, I don't think I've ever watched an Oscars. I don't fucking care who's going to win Best Picture. I don't fucking care who wins Best Actor. I could give a shit about any of that stuff. I find all of that stuff, again, regardless of the medium, to be mutual masturbation and people just singing their own praises and handing out awards so they can dress up and act like the fucking elites that they so truly are. So any sort of award, it just has never really sat right with me. And it goes for comics as well too. Like, yes, I've dipped my toes into the comics awards now and again, just out of curiosity, but never following it with any sense of urgency or any sense of that this is truly going to show us what the best work was in the year. It's all fucking politics. It's all who your friends are. It's all getting in front of people, what the kind of topics are. I would agree with that from Alex's article. I do feel like there's a part of that. Is it the majority of it? No, I don't think so. But I do think that it is a part of the whole picture of why things kind of get propped up in front of people and why things get the exposure that they do and get the accolades that they do. So I guess that's sort of my thoughts on it. I'd recommend that you go and check out Four Color Apocalypse and read his articles on the Alex Graham quote unquote incident. And I just find that the other thing that I did want to touch on is just the comics community as a whole and social media as a whole. Again, I'm not saying anything that is you've never heard anywhere else, especially from me. Fuck social media. It's all toxic. Take control of your social media, block people. I found it hilarious that people were running over to Blue Sky or whatever the fucking platform was. And then this drama happened there as well too, which makes me laugh because it's always being presented as like Twitter is the shithole. It's like, no, all social media is the shithole because it's the people that participate in that stuff and how they participate in it that create the shithole, you know? So it did make me laugh when I heard that it was coming on that platform and not the ever evil Twitter. Take control of your social media. Don't be an asshole to people online. Don't be an asshole to people in real life. I don't know. It seems pretty goddamn simple to me, but I think the point of the Ed Piskor thing that kind of hit me though is that, again, is suicide a complicated issue? It sure as hell is. Is anything a one answer solution? Absolutely not. But I do feel like social media did play a part. Ed said it himself in, maybe it was the letter, maybe I don't know where the fuck it was. It was probably the letter where he talked about just human beings' ability to have that much criticism piled on them at once when you hit a certain level. Obviously, it's a lot easier to deal with praise when you're doing something that mass amounts of people enjoy and you're getting that constant praise. That's going to do something to you psychologically, especially depending on the personality. If the reverse happens, that's going to have an effect on people. And I just really wish, like, keeping it to the comics thing, I wish the comics world would just lighten the fuck up a little bit. It is comics. Yes, there are big issues in the world that some comics do try to tackle. Absolutely, they do. But in general, it is comic books. So get a bit of perspective and just kind of learn from things that have happened in the past. And this piling on people just is really not a good look on anybody. Like I said, the block button works. Nobody's telling you have to engage with people on social media that you don't know or you sort of know in passing. Nobody says that you have to buy shit from that cartoonist if you don't like them. None of that is in existence. So kind of take control of that stuff and I don't know, just get a little bit of perspective and maybe get offline every once in a while. Anyway, that's a fucking rant for the ages. So a copy of this cassette was from Blake, and because I'm on my phone, I can't pull up the screen. You can find copies of this on the Copy This Cassette Bandcamp page. Let's see if he's got the... there's Blake's contact there. He has it in the zine itself, so I'm assuming that's good to share. Obviously, if that's not the case, he'll let me know. Hey, look at that. Copythis.bandcamp.com. There's 3 issues of this zine out, and he's released a few tapes as well too. This one caught my attention when I did a little bit of samples of it. The Northwoods Improvisers tape here sounded pretty damn good. So he had suggested in one of the videos that, hey, maybe I show off. He's kind of getting into noise as a genre, but he's also obviously heavy into cassettes. So I thought I'd kind of share a couple of cassettes with people and just talk about some of these tapes and what they mean to me. I've got a huge amount of cassette tapes, cases and cases filled with them, all sorts of genres. I pulled out a few things that are maybe along the more experimental tip. I think it's a really great way to listen to music. I love that Bandcamp artists are doing limited runs of cassette tapes. I think that's a blast. Hello, Damien. Makes me feel like it's Sunday to see your live vid pop up. Yeah, it is not Sunday. I probably won't be around on Sunday. I've got a meeting on Sunday. No chat with Rasa this Sunday, unfortunately. And yes, every day is like Sunday. So why don't we start with one that's kind of near and dear to me. But before we throw that in front of the screen, let's throw this in front of the screen. Shout out to Winnipeg's own Fletcher Pratt. He has, I think he still has the tape label going, Midori Records. Fletcher used to live here in town. I played many a show with him. We went on a tour together. We've done some tapes together. This is kind of a whole chunk of his Midori Records releases all the way back to, I don't know if this is #1, but just over the years, he's been kind enough to share some stuff with me. I've bought stuff from him. I've contributed some stuff. There's some contributions by me on the sound effects tape here. I'm sure. Yeah, here we go. Here's our live tape crack. You know how we roll from this tour that we went on. So I've amassed a lot of his stuff over the years. These mean a lot to me. Fletcher is a fantastic guy. He lives in Oakland. I see him, hopefully I see him once a year when he comes back for a visit. And it's always good to see him. And he's always producing some incredible stuff. So once he hit a bit of a milestone, I think it was release number 50. He did a limited edition box set of cassettes. A solo one, Bates Ensemble, which I think Fletcher played in as well too. There's another crack tape here, Winnipeg Live, some Winnipeg noise artists, Calling the Sky People and Sigmund, which were also Fletcher in those bands as well. And then what else is in here? Don't know what this one is. Number 150, can't really see. It's a mystery. Oh, it just has question marks on it. It's a mystery tape. And then there's another mystery tape here as well too, and I don't remember what this one was either. But a really nice little set. A little bit of a mini art book in it as well too. Samples of some artwork that he'd done over the years for his releases. So an absolute keeper for the collection. The Midori box set of cassettes there. I don't know how many he made. I don't know if he did just 50 of them or if it was less. But that one is a highlight of the collection for sure. A couple of other highlights for me are these two here. for experimental music and like noise music and things like that, there's a, in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area type of part of the planet, there's a lot of artists down there. Again, throwing back to comics, the San Francisco underground comics, those have meant a lot to me. The kind of costumed noise scene that happens down there, or that I would say originated from there, made a huge impact on me. And I've probably shown these off in the past, but it's always a good opportunity to show this stuff off again. So this is Brutal Sound Effects compilation, an exhibition of strange facts, going back to one of the tours I did with Fletcher. I got this at a show that we played in Victoria, at a little art gallery. So this has a lot of people on it that I still listen to today. Sharky Face, shout out to Sharky Face, Brand Paws, Porist, 16 Bitch Pileup, Midnight, Spider Compass, Good Crime Band, Tarantism, shout out to Sharky Face again. Cora the Coalman, Hans Grussel's Cranking Cabinet, Pod Blots, etc., etc. It is chock full of just incredible artists. So I was so excited to find this at that live gig. I had heard about it, but never figured I'd get my hands on it. It seemed like one of those things that was just going to be that really rare limited edition run that I would never get to put my hands on up here in the prairies. But there you have it. So the beauty of going on tour. And out of the group of people, Hans Grussel's Cranking Cabinet has got to be up there for me. This is maybe the first release by Hans Grussel's Cranking Cabinet, Candy Coated Terror. It was one I splurged for on eBay because I love them so goddamn much. And if you're curious, check out some Hans Grussel's Cranking Cabinet on YouTube. They have been known to do some cover songs now and again. So there's how you spell all that nonsense there. Really, really great. Sort of in line with kind of Carolina Rainbow, which was Grux, Rubbero Cement, people like that. So there's a shot of our clock-faced hero, Hans Grussel himself, with Greta Grussel beside him. And then the dancing, singing log as well, too. So worth checking stuff out there. Seeing some stuff pop up here. Let's see. Funny, been looking to get an old school boombox, just feeling nostalgic for cassette music. Honestly, Rasa, do yourself a favor and get yourself something. It's so great. Like I said, I've got a shit ton of cassettes, all sorts of genres, from like easy listening, soundtrack music, heavy metal, noise music. It's so great listening to stuff on a cassette deck. I've got one here in the room that's just a mono AM FM / cassette deck that I love listening to tapes on. It gives it a really nice quality. Yes, digital and vinyl is fantastic, but there's some stuff that I do really feel like it benefits from a cassette tape. Don't forget Floyd and the Dead Crow Gang out of Bay Area. Absolutely. Yeah, Floyd Tangeman. Another one of my favorites. Were you playing bass when you toured? No, that was our noise project. That was the Crack Noise Project. And that was so synthesizers, effects, little bit of vocals. I think we were doing samples, that sort of thing. That tour with Fletcher was an absolute blast because we played a few house parties, one in Victoria where we played in a basement. I think I've spoken about it before. Outside was people kind of tenting and camping out and having fires and having barbecues. Anytime someone would play a set, everybody would come running inside and we'd all gather in the basement, crowd around the table that people were playing at, and you just go kind of nuts, everybody cheering everybody on. It was such a great atmosphere. Doing that show, I think, is the one that stands out for me the most. Playing at like mini art galleries and things was really great as well. But I think that the kind of camaraderie and the kind of personal connection in those house parties was the way to go. That cover art has a Theo Ellsworth vibe. Yes. Sorry, the layout on this thing is fucking horrible. Yes, it did. Are you talking on this one here? Yeah, so those ones there. Something I got more recently from, what the heck is the tape label called now? I don't remember. It's a compilation though. Controlled Death is one side, and then Black Mountain Transmitter is the other side. Black Mountain Transmitter is what I'm here for this stuff. This Horror Rises from the Tomb split. I love it. Black Mountain Transmitter is very much kind of very, very lo-fi, very, very lo-fi kind of noise, ambience, almost runs a little like old school haunted house records, but really, really great stuff. And as I drop shit on the floor, stuff like this is, stuff like Black Mountain Transmitter is what cassettes are made for. I think that it makes the kind of sounds and music that much better when it's also presented on a cassette tape. That is the tape label there, but it's such a blurry stamp that I can't remember what the hell it's called. What else do we got? What's in this one? The other beautiful thing about Bandcamp especially is there's a lot of smaller labels that pop up that I end up really getting fixated on. I think, as you can see, the collector vibe runs not only through comics, it runs all sorts of areas. One of the tape labels that I really became fixated on was this Haord Records, Haord, and specifically Cowboy Boing. This Cowboy Boing album, Blob on a Grid, is so goddamn good. I'm sure they still have it digitally on the Haord Records Bandcamp page. But again, talking costumed guy, it sort of has a Devo-esque type of vibes, I guess. A little bit is maybe the best way to put it, even though that's not 100% accurate. I would say that a lot of stuff that appeared on this label, though, definitely fit into kind of like the no wave, synth-driven, kind of experimental pop/rock music. And it just turned out that there were so many good goddamn releases that I found myself listening to over and over again that I ended up just ordering a bunch of tapes over the kind of, I don't know, year or two. Macula Dog, another standout band. The Beatles, HC, all with great artwork, all with colored cassette tapes. Yeah, really, really exceptional label. The second Cowboy Boing album didn't kind of hit me as much as the first one did, but also worth checking out there too. So there you go. A legendary cassette tape right here. Great phone calls. Your sides will ache from convulsive laughter. Greg Turkington and friends. There's even an appearance by Mr. Mike Patton on this one. Again, associated with some of the noise stuff we were looking at earlier. Specifically, shout out to Grux, Rubber O Cement. Was kind of involved in this kind. They were all kind of in the same kind of bubble. I think there was some crossover into the band Mr. Bungle and things too, but this was kind of a legendary prank phone calls cassette that we listened to repeatedly. Jerky Boys never really did it for me, but this Great Phone Calls one was just that extra bit of absurd that it made it a lot of fun. Stomach Ache was a record label that sort of existed around the Greg Turkington, Faxed Head kind of world. So this was a compilation from Stomach Ache Records of a bunch of stuff, including some G.G. Allen on here. What else is on here? Faxed Head is on here, one of the best bands the Garo Gary Gay Gay Gays on here. One of my favorites, Lee Ronaldo, Royal Trucks, and of course, Greg Turkington and I Yamatsuka from the Boredoms. So this is a solid compilation as well. Anything recorded on an analog 4-track will always sound best on cassette. That's 100% true. I've been looking recently, keeping my eye out on Marketplace and on just online to see if there's any 4-tracks popping up. I had a 4-track forever, and it broke many years ago, and I've missed it ever since. One of those things that 4-track recorders fetch a pretty steep price, even when they're not in working order. So it hasn't been easy to find one again, but I've always wanted to pick one up again. I'd love to, as easy as it is to record on the computer these days, I do love recording on cassette, and that kind of overdubbing and doing things yourself there, bouncing tracks from a couple of other tracks onto one, and just, again, that sound that you can get from it. What else do we have in here? Another label that's been a favorite of mine for a long time, Skin Graft Records. Did kind of a shout out again to the old school horror, kids horror records. They sort of copped that style a bit here. Mark Fisher, I think, doing some stuff in here. Skin Graft, there was a couple of comics from Skin Graft as well. I think Mark Fisher was his name, who did some artwork in there. I think there was 2 issues of it on possibly Iconographics, I think. Skin Graft also had series of 7-inch records where they would always have comics in it as well too. Most notoriously, they had a compilation series of AC/DC cover songs that I would strongly recommend you look up. All sorts of kind of noise rock and art rock type of bands doing AC/DC cover songs. I'm sure that when you look at them digitally on Bandcamp, that you can see the comics that came with it as well too. So there might be a video in my archive somewhere where I took a really close look at Skin Graft, because they've been very instrumental in my music upbringing. I mean, do I need to say anything else? Fucking Basket Case soundtrack, a notorious movie for me. A couple of more from that label. There you go. Deathbed Tapes is what the tape label is called. This was this cassette here. So whenever I order from these Bandcamp people, I always end up getting a few things because the shipping is so goddamn much. So Maurizio Bianchi and Adriano Vincente. I don't remember this one being that great. I know MB's work over the years. Music for Genocide or something like that, I think, is kind of a standout album. And Shadow Killer, I think, was a compilation. Yeah, looks like a compilation on this Shadow Killer of some artists that they have on the label. Again, Black Mountain Transmitters on here, which would have been the thing that brought me to picking this up. Not a lot of other names on here jumping out at me, but there you go. So sort of a Jallo vibes on that one. Okay, yeah, it was, yeah. Iconographics. Thank you. Oops, what did I do there? Am I still? Yes, I'm still around. What the hell did I do? I don't know. I did something. I might not see comments. I seem to have fucked something up here. Let's see what happens if I do all this. Did that make any difference? Sorry, everybody. I think I've lost the comments there. Oh, here they are. They're on the side there. Okay. Just for beautiful design. I mean, look at this. Gorgeous. Traffic Island's Ghost Notes, a faux soundtrack. That's a stunner. Again, all of this on Bandcamp. And then there was also this here, A Rose in the Garden of Winter. Amazing, Amazing soundtrack. Gorgeous, gorgeous tapes. I love the screen printing or printing right onto the cassettes themselves. And some of these companies do a fantastic job of that. Really gives the whole tape an amazing feel. No, I can't read that, but there you go. Let's go to another. Close this sucker up. Let's see what we got in these ones. These hard shell cases are really tough. Click cases, what they're called. They're really, really tough to find. The cases that you're seeing here have taken me years to find. You always find these soft shell kind of cases, but I love these hard shell ones a lot more, to be honest. What we've got in here, we've got some John Wiggins, who, if you listen to or if you read my Substack, my free Substack, that is the MERS stack, I did a couple of articles. One of them was about this some John Wiggins stuff, not this All the Truth at Once, but an album that I have. And then I've also talked about Ron from Triple R Records. So this is one of his recycled tape series that was John Wiggins. John Wiggins played with Ron in Due Process at times. I think Due Process had a rotating cast of people that would play. So some more Greg Turkington stuff. Amarillo Records was a label that I loved. This is one of his acts, the Zip Code Rapists, live Incompetence. So a bunch of ridiculous songs on a kind of, I don't know if this whole thing was a dub and somebody just printed off the tape label itself or the J card itself, or if this is how the official release was, but there you go. What else is in here? Some Japanese oddball grindcore, CSSO, catasexual organism, something. What the fuck were they called? I don't know. Bonkers stuff. The OPR cassette label had a few things that I picked up that I probably talked about over the years. Really, really incredible albums. Standouts for me on this one are this Skyle SCY1E, this Occasional Music. Unreal album. This one is an absolute standout, as good as everything else is, including this Armageddon percussion ensemble is a really, really good release as well too. And again, beautiful work on printing on the cassette itself. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, this is a standout album. There was a video during the pandemic. There was some live streams happening. I apologize. I'm going to blank on his name that's behind this. But he performed this, or had a version of what he was doing on this album presented live. Really sorry. That's a huge bed shit on my side. He runs the Weird Ear. Rob, I can't remember. I apologize. Weird Ear is his label though. And then OPR, so 2019. So around that time, he did a live kind of presentation where he was utilizing some of the techniques he did for this cassette itself. I don't know if that's anywhere still out online, but it was a lot of like drum triggers. So they were electronically like synthesizer controlled, that were these triggers hitting various parts of the drum kit, and then had some synth stuff coming in as well too, sort of playing along. The Cave Evil crew, the soundtrack to Cave Evil. Gary Usher. Hello, Gary. Looks like you are storing the Canadian nuclear launch codes in those. Yes, it's very, very top secret. They go under lock and key. Two of us need to open the cases simultaneously to be able to even crack into some of these sometimes. Cracking into anything, by the way, is trademarked. Those cassettes are available on Etsy. Which ones, Rasa? The OPR stuff? They are a British, I think they originate in the UK, OPR, I believe. What else do we got? Let's open another case. More click cases. Oh, the storage cases are okay. As I said, I tend to get fixated on particular labels. This would have been one of them. And of course, I'm not remembering the name right now. Let's see. Tymbal tapes. There you go. So again, Bandcamp, Tymbal tapes, experimental synth-based stuff, sort of cut and paste, maybe bordering on some noise. Yves Malone is one of the standouts. Yves Malone is Canadian. He also records under a couple of different names, but lots of kind of synth-driven, soundtracky type of stuff from Yves Malone. So one worth checking out for sure. And then this is from, I thought this had something to do with the Make Noise crew, but I guess not. Don't remember the name of this particular company. FGS. I'm blanking on what that stands for, but same thing. This is, again, more synth-based, probably a little more experimental. I think some of this, especially this one here, this Bannahafer and Rodent, this was the standout for me, this cassette. Fat Grabbers, number 17. So anytime you want to slap a number on something and have some sort of consistency across the artwork, I'm going to be sold. So that's a standout there. Andy Ortman, another one of my favorite weirdo noise guys. He has a radio show as well too. I'll try to remember to link some of this stuff in the description here. But he played in this group Panicsville and has done a lot of stuff solo as well. It's with a lot of stuff, there's going to be a hit and miss part of it. I find though with Andy Ortman stuff, there's a few of these guys where it's more hits for me than misses. Andy Ortman would be one of those guys. Todd Barton would be another guy as well too. I discovered Todd Barton on YouTube actually, and he has done a lot of work with the Buchla synthesizer, and he worked with this guy Heinbach, who does some YouTube videos, this German guy who talks about recording and doing kind of experimental music. Yeah, Todd Barton stuff is pretty great. Either one of these, I think, are the standouts. This one wasn't as interesting or engaging for me, this row, but always worth trying some of his stuff out there. Let's see, will those fit back in there? Somehow. Makes me miss the cassette player in your car. I loved having a cassette player in the car, man. I had one for the longest time. Honestly, I even miss the CD player in the car. Now I've got to put like a jump drive in there. Brand Paz, another kind of Bay Area guy who I'm a big fan of. He was doing this Bubblegum Crisis series. I think it was just the 4 of them that were really, really great. Very, very short cassettes, but a really, really fun series of tapes with some cover songs and some special guests and things. And then he's done a bunch of stuff on his own as well too. So again, all really amazing. A guy that I've been listening to for a long time, actually, Brand Paz. Brand Paz with DJ Headboggle. Some of these I've talked about recently. Some more Hans Grusel stuff. Here's another one, I think. Yes. Hans Grusel and Loach Filet present Lumpy Graveyard Express. They're sort of Halloween micro edition of a kind of like mixtape where they're performing some live pieces and putting stuff together. And then this is probably one of my favorites from Loach Fillet, the Froth Fingers Loach Fillet split tape. Had this for a long time from a label called Fish Pies. I don't think Fish Pies is anywhere on Bandcamp, but always worth a look, I suppose. Let's see, get that back in there. We'll just maybe take a quick look at one more case and then we'll probably call it. Let's see here. Rasa, if you're still there, how much were those cases going for on Etsy? Oh boy, what do we got in here? Oh man, probably Blake was asking me in an email about kind of noise music to get into. A lot of what I love about any sort of genre is when you get some people that recognize some of the tropes of the genre and sort of play into it. So this is a band called MOLOCH. The album's called A Bad Place, and it's they have one of the best band photos I think I've ever seen in my life. If you look up the band MOLOCH on Bandcamp, you'll see what I mean. Their picture, the picture of each of the band members, it's them with their heads in their hand. The music is very doom and depressive and heavy, and I just thought it was the best band picture ever. Kind of like there's a photo of Basil Wolverton, a photo of the author in one of the books, and it's him leaning with his head against the wall of a house, and I just always have loved that photo. So I do love it, because I was telling Blake about this French noise artist called Vomir, and he's so intense that when he performs, he puts a black plastic bag over his head, and I just think that's one of the funniest fucking things, especially because he realizes himself how absurd it is and kind of does that on purpose. We got some stuff from Hanson Records, a label that's been around forever. Whole bunch of stuff. Aaron Dillaway doing a couple of things here. Speculum Fight, Tusco Terror, Spine Scavenger. You can't go wrong with any of these. Another label that does a good job of kind of consistency throughout the tape releases. Again, these have kind of come to me over many, many years. I've never really chased down. There's too many to kind of chase down, honestly, from them, as I drop shit on the floor again. But if you're into noise, you know Hanson Records already. Where'd that go? Down here. Here we go. Shock and surprise, it did not break. Rudolf Eber from the Runzelstern and Gurgelstock crew. Rudolf Eber is another name that I put out to Blake in the email. These guys are exceptional in the world of noise. Again, using a lot of like cut up and old kind of styles, I guess, but using space so fucking well. Someone else associated with them is Dave Phillips. He did a one-off, this Perverts in White Shirts, that has some really, really good tracks on it. This one is definitely more musical, even though it still retains a lot of the experimental and noise stuff. But this is very actual, more musical than the rest of the stuff that I tend to talk about here at times. Don't know what that one is. Let's see. Speaking of the tour, this was someone that we did perform with, this RDC out of Alberta. I don't think Acid Attack was with us as well. There was a couple of guys from Calgary that we ended up playing a bunch of shows with. And one of them performed as RDC. So this is one of their tapes that I had. The beauty of going out on tour and putting out stuff on tape is tape trading with other noise musicians. One of my favorite Japanese bands, Corrupted. This is a live tape. I think it's from 1997-ish. live and unreleased. Again, I'm not sure if this is an official release that came like this, or if it was just a J card. There was an official release of this. I just don't know if this was it. And then back in the tape dubbing era, I've got a bunch of their 7 inches, and back to when I had the tape player in the car, Damien, making myself some mixtapes to listen to as I was driving. Got to shout out another Canadian classic band. This is the Nihilist Spasm Band from London, Ontario. 666 in the chat if you're from London, Ontario. Magic Whistle, I still see him on Instagram. Really, really great stuff. He designs and makes his own synthesizers and sequencers and things. Some more stuff from Triple R Records here as well too. And another, also got to shout out BALKAN, another Canadian band. I think they're also from Vancouver. This is a fucking unbelievable album. Not All Prisons Have Bars. I love this tape. I think I saw on their Instagram recently that they're going back and starting to record some new material. So very, very much looking forward to some more from them. They were selling shirts on their Bandcamp too. I might have to splurge and get myself a shirt. So I think the gist of tonight's live stream is listen to some goddamn music. And if you have some tapes, listen to some tapes. In the latest issue, what a great way to fucking end it. In the latest issue of Copy This Cassette, I didn't even plan this. This is how veteran YouTube streamers roll. In the latest issue of Copy This Cassette, we have an interview with Nate Cross from Astral Spirits. And here are some Astral Spirits releases. Again, one of the things that drew me to this label was there was an Arrington Dioniso release that they did. But again, it was the album art that sucked me in even further and wanted to try out some of their other albums. I think all of these releases that I have here are all instrumental, kind of jazzy from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've listened to these, but this kind of very retro cover art is beautiful, beautiful stuff. Oh, in that case is Busted. And again, I think all of them are on, yeah, they're all on colored cassettes as well too. So beautiful work by so many people out there. I'm so glad that people are still embracing cassette tapes and really putting the time into design. Maybe we'll look at a couple more in this. This Sip Prezano album is outstanding as well too. Again, instrumental from the label Moonglyph. Haha Mart. This is kind of hip hop, but using samples of Kmart style department store music. And it's really goddamn amazing. This one I'm sure you can still find digitally on Bandcamp. It is so well worth a listen. There's also an album called, I think it's called Attention Kmart Shoppers, and same kind of idea. It's a guy who actually sampled from some records that they really did play in Kmart. This sort of references that stuff where the Attention Kmart Shoppers album is directly from a stockpile of stuff that he came across in a Kmart shopping center. So both are, I believe, are still on Bandcamp, and both are worth listening to. Very, very fun stuff there. Some more from Eve Malone. Will probably be in the other case. What else do we got here? That's probably about it. So let's cut it there. So Copy This Cassette. Make sure you check them out on Bandcamp. Support anybody who wants to create stuff, especially when it comes to print zines and things, I say it's always a good idea to support people that are willing to put the time into something like this. So thanks very much. It was good to see you all. 40 pounds. Are you kidding me? Vintage Italian one I saw. Okay, I'll have to check that one out, LaRasa. Shout out to LaRasa. Shout out to Damien. Shout out to Gary Usher. And of course, shout out to Ryan Carey. Check out Ryan Carey's Patreon, Four Color Apocalypse. Check out Blake on Bandcamp. And support artists, support cartoonists, support musicians. When it comes to Bandcamp, there's a Bandcamp Friday. Keep your eyes out for Bandcamp Friday. On those days, Bandcamp waives all the fees that they would take, and all of the money that you spend goes directly to the artists themselves. So, yep. And don't support mundane, boring fucking shit. Do the least little bit of digging and you'll find some stuff that's really a lot more rewarding in many, many different ways. Engage with art that's going to frustrate you. Engage with art that's going to make you question things. Engage with art that's going to push your boundaries a little bit further. There's nothing wrong with any of it. It's what really good art should do. It should ask you questions. It shouldn't always give you answers. Right on, everybody. Take it easy. Later.